It's April 29th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with a fire that started on a mountain in Daegu City. Fire authorities have contained 82% of the blaze that began around 2 p.m. on Monday on Hamjisan Mountain. No casualties have been reported so far, but the blaze has forced at least 2,200 residents in the area out of their homes. The Democratic Party is looking to launch its election campaign committee on Wednesday after confirming its former leader Lee Jae-myung as its presidential nominee over the weekend. The People Power Party is set to unveil the results of the second round of presidential primary voting at 2 p.m. Tuesday. Russian President Vladimir Putin has called for a unilateral 3-day ceasefire in Ukraine to mark a victory day next week. A proposal which has been met with a renewed demand from the U.S. for a permanent ceasefire. The wildfire that broke out on Monday afternoon in Daegu is still burning. Firefighting efforts have achieved an 82% containment rate as of this morning. We now turn to our Kim Jung-sil, who is joining us live on the line. Jung-sil, fill us in.
Tommy, the wildfire that broke out in the northern Bukgu district of Daegu district continued to spread overnight, but it has been mostly contained as of this morning. The fire, which started yesterday afternoon, has already affected over 2.6 million square meters of land. As of 8 a.m. this morning, authorities have managed to bring 82% of the fire under control. Now, take a look at this latest situation map. The red lines here show where the fire is still burning, while the yellow lines indicate where the flames have been extinguished. As you can see, a significant portion of the fire line has been contained, reflecting progress in the firefighting efforts. This morning, I spoke with the spokesperson of the Korea Forest Service, Kim Jong-gun, who provided an update on the fire. Take a listen.
The fire has affected an area of 260 hectares. So far, 9 kilometers of the 11-kilometer fire line have been contained. The air is extremely dry, and strong winds are fueling the fire. People in forested areas or near the mountains must avoid using any open flames at all costs.
Over 700 personnel were deployed to fight the fire last night, and today the number has been doubled. Spokesperson Kim also mentioned that 53 firefighting helicopters and 205 vehicles are also being used in the operation. Now, Tommy, you might wonder how the fire started deep inside the mountain, especially given that the area is close to residential zones and a popular hiking destination. After a series of devastating wildfires across the country, including the deadly Uisong wildfire last month that claimed more than 20 lives, the Hamjisan mountain area was actually designated as a restricted zone to prevent exactly what we're seeing today. Yet, despite the restrictions, the spokesperson confirmed that the fire started within that very restricted zone. Authorities are now investigating how this could have happened.
Well, Jung-sil, with the fire now threatening residential areas, how are authorities managing the situation with evacuees? Are there any updates on the safety measures being taken?
Yes, Tommy, while no casualties have been reported yet, the situation remains dire due to the fire's sheer proximity to the residential areas. Authorities are urging residents, especially those near Hamjisan Mountain, to stay on high alert. At least 2,200 residents were evacuated to local elementary schools by Monday afternoon, with an additional 660 evacuating this morning. In response to the growing threat, 3 schools near the fire zone have been closed today for safety. With Daegu still under a dry weather warning and strong winds expected throughout the day, firefighting efforts are set to face further challenges. That's all I have for this hour. Back to you, Tommy.
All right, Jung-sil, thank you for that update. Now, in other news, the Democratic Party, having officially confirmed its former leader Lee Jae-myung as its presidential nominee, is now in the process of putting together its election campaign committee. Lee has been taking steps to emphasize unity and broaden his appeal to centrist and conservative voters. Since his first day as a presidential candidate. As part of this effort, the party is set to appoint a former environment minister, Yoon Yeo-jun, a conservative strategist, to one of the top posts in the campaign. He told reporters on Monday that Yoon is someone he has relied on for advice. Now, the party's election campaign committee will officially launch on Wednesday at 2 p.m. And the People Power Party is set to announce the results of the second round of presidential primary voting at 2 p.m. today on Tuesday. The four-way race between Kim Mun-soo, An Cheol-soo, Han Dong-un, and Hong Jin-pyo will end if one of them gets more than 50% of total votes. Voting in the competition took place on Sunday and Monday, with 50% of voters eligible PPP members and the remaining 50% coming from an open survey. Now, if there isn't a winner, there will be a runoff between the top two, with the results coming out at the PPP convention on May 3rd. According to PPP officials, the final voter turnout among party member electors was recorded at around 51%, with around 390,000 members casting their votes. Russian President Vladimir Putin declared a three-day ceasefire to mark the 80th anniversary of Victory Day. A proposal met with another call from the U.S. for a permanent ceasefire amid frustration over the lack of progress in peace talks between Moscow and Kyiv. Lee Seung-jae reports.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday unilaterally declared that he would hold a three-day ceasefire from May 8th to the 10th to mark the 80th anniversary of Victory Day. The announcement was made by the Kremlin via a telegram message, adding that the ceasefire was based on humanitarian considerations. It further explained that all military actions will be prohibited during this 72-hour period and called on Ukraine to follow the ceasefire protocols. It warned that if Ukraine violates the ceasefire, the Russian military would respond appropriately and effectively. The temporary ceasefire also comes as U.S. President Donald Trump warned on Saturday that he may consider introducing sanctions against Russia if Putin doesn't intend to end the war. However, the White House on Monday stressed that what Trump wants to see is a permanent ceasefire, adding that the U.S. leader has been frustrated with the lack of progress made in peace talks between Moscow and Kyiv.
He is increasingly frustrated with leaders of both countries. He wants to see a permanent ceasefire. I understand Vladimir Putin this morning offered a temporary ceasefire. The president has made it clear he wants to see a permanent ceasefire, first to stop the killing, stop the bloodshed. And while he remains optimistic he can strike a deal, he's also being realistic as well.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky also criticized the temporary ceasefire on Monday, calling for a full and unconditional ceasefire for at least 30 days in order to provide a basis for real diplomacy. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The Kremlin pushed for a similar 30-hour ceasefire over Easter, now a 72-hour truce for Victory Day. Will the temporary ceasefire be realized, and will it be a peaceful one? Let's turn to Professor Christoph Gauden. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So Putin's 72-hour ceasefire, is it just to please U.S. President Donald Trump for now?
No, probably not. But here what is happening is that Vladimir Putin, President Putin, is probably trying to stage his victory. What is happening is that right now Putin is about to reach at least some of his war objectives. It is fair to say in terms of territorial gains. And so at the same time, if you consider all of the young lives that have been lost on these objectives, for Vladimir Putin, it is important for him that his victory looks self-evident, even flamboyant to an extent. So that's why he decided to pick this date in order to implement his strategy. Putin and Trump are following two completely different agendas here.
But I do have to mention again, this is a unilateral proposal from Putin. But do you think the U.S. and Ukraine will eventually accept the proposal?
In fact, it can only be unilateral because Russia started this war. So the only party that can end it is Russia as well. What Putin is trying to do now, Putin is trying to set the agenda, to set the tempo. Basically, if I am a bit blunt here, Ukraine can only resist Russia with the help of the US. So what Putin is trying to do now is that he's trying to negotiate directly with Trump over the head of Ukrainians. In fact, the message that Putin is sending right now is very simple. It is something like, I can end this war anytime I like, as long as I get what I want.
Well, speaking of the Ukraine crisis, Professor Gowden, we have to talk about North Korea's confirmation of its troop deployment to Ukraine. Now, it took Russia and North Korea a good half a year to admit the North's troop deployment to back Russian forces against Ukraine. Now, they had to acknowledge it at some point, but why now? Why this week?
First, it couldn't stay hidden forever. The deployment of North Korean troops was so massive that eventually it had to be acknowledged officially. So now to get back to your question, why now? Why now? Well, basically here it is because Russia, again, is setting the tone. Vladimir Putin is, in fact, having relatively few allies all over the world. He has great partners like China, but close allies, not really. So he's trying to push North Korea ahead because that's a way for him to show he's not alone. So by acknowledging this deployment of North Korean troops precisely on Victory Day, that's a way for him to say, well, I'm not alone, and it is an attempt to establish himself as a sort of regional leader all over the Eurasian region, in Europe and in East Asia as well.
Then would you say the North's confirmation on Monday means the war in Ukraine is far from being over?
Oh, that I couldn't say for sure, but no, what it means is something simpler. What it means is that China now is trying to tighten its links with Japan and with South Korea to counter Trump's tariffs. And so it leaves North Korea with very few allies in the region. You always need to remember that South Korea trades with China 30 times more than North Korea. So what it means here is something actually extremely simple. What it means is that North Korea, and Russia are trying to stage their alliance to show that they are not alone in the world. But this is mostly a Russian-North Korean issue. It has to do with Kim Jong-un and Putin's agendas. It says, unfortunately, very little about the war in Ukraine. It's North Korean-Russian cuisine. It has hardly anything to do with the war, I'm afraid.
I see. Professor Gowden, Trump also met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of Pope Francis' funeral over the weekend. Now, can I say this is also part of Trump's strategy to put pressure on Russia? I mean, why make such a scene there?
I'm not sure Trump really has a strategy. If you look at the way the US diplomacy has been communicating, it moved from very peaceful to very aggressive messages towards Russia, towards Ukraine. What I think is that Trump promised he would end this war in like a few days. And as all of us can see, this war is dragging along for weeks and weeks and weeks. So Trump doesn't like to be contradicted. In your little reportage just before this interview, I find it very interesting that the US press secretary at the White House declared that Trump is getting impatient. I think that's all it is. Trump is getting impatient, so he's trying anything he can to end this conflict. And overnight, his policy can change like completely from black to white and from white to black.
Right. All right, Professor Gowden, thank you so much for connecting with us. As always, we appreciate it.
Thank you. See you around. Bye-bye.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Monday shared his optimism with regard to trade talks with South Korea. Speaking to CNBC, Bessent stressed that negotiations with Seoul have been going very well, adding that Washington's had very substantive negotiations with Tokyo. The comments come after Seoul and Washington took part in the 2+2 ministerial trade talks in the U.S. Capitol last week. However, the Treasury Secretary did not elaborate what was discussed between the two allies. It's K-Royal Culture Week here in Seoul this week. Palaces across Seoul are wide open for anyone in the city to experience what it was like to live the royal life of the centuries-old Joseon Dynasty. Our Choi Soo-hyung takes us there.
As the guards begin their shift with the sound of drums signaling the start of morning, a new day at Gyeongbokgung Palace starts. This year's K-Royal Culture Festival, which started on Saturday, is taking place at Seoul's 5 major palaces, Gyeongbokgung, Changdeokgung, Deoksugung, Changgyeonggung, and Gyeonghee-gung, as well as the Jongmyo Shrine. Visitors can join a program where they experience royal life from the Joseon Dynasty, which lasted from the late 14th century to the turn of the 20th century. One highlight is time travel with King Sejong, where visitors can experience important moments from King Sejong's life, such as the creation of Hangul, the Korean alphabet, and other historical achievements. The biggest feature of this year's festival is that visitors can do more than just watch. They can actually participate. Visitors can act as royal palace apprentices, making royal desserts and trying out royal dances. And they can experience daily life as it was about 500 years ago.
My friend invited me to join the program. The weather was so great, and when I tried it myself, it was easy and so much fun for anyone to enjoy.
This year is the 11th edition of the festival. Last year, more than 960,000 people visited the event, making it one of the Seoul's most visited festivals. The Korea Heritage Service created a variety of programs that match current trends, different age groups, and even special programs for foreigners.
Last year, we focused mainly on performances showing daily life. This year, we wanted to give the audience a chance to join in and interact before the show starts. We also encouraged foreigners to participate, focusing more on hands-on experiences rather than just delivering lines.
In front of Gyeongbokgung Palace, you can enjoy traditional crafts and goods. At Deoksugung Palace, near Seoul City Hall, there is a special program for foreigners called the Emperor's Table. Visitors can taste traditional royal food from the Korean Empire period and hear stories about the food and about Korean history in English. This year, there's a special program called Spring Day at Gyeonghae-do to celebrate the 80th anniversary of the country's liberation. Independence heroes and their families have been invited to special performances at Gyeonghae-do Pavilion in Gyeongbokgung Palace. The festival will continue until May 4th at the 5 palaces and Jongmyo Shrine. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
And now, if you're looking to take in all the spring warmth a little farther away from the capital but closer to the nature, down in Yeoju City, a suspension bridge spanning Namhangang River is also set to open this Thursday. Our Cha Young-kyung has more.
The spring river breeze brings a pleasurable feeling to tourists. A suspension bridge spanning the Namhangang River boasts of grand and beautiful features. This is the first suspension bridge over the Hangang River with a length of 515 meters and an average height of 30 meters, providing magnificent panoramic views of the river.
We are shivering since it is very high up here, and I think it is a great place to visit with the family since it has beautiful landscapes.
Visitors can experience the thrill of looking through the bridge's glass floor, where people can view the river, and at the media glass, which looks like it is breaking when people step on it. There's a special zone at the center of the bridge where a person can propose to their loved one. People can also find an elevator for transportation of the disabled and elderly.
It is great for both adults and children to walk around here on the suspension bridge since it is not steep. It's fun and has wonderful views.
Around the suspension bridge, tourists can explore the 1,000-year-old Shiluksa Temple and Kumumore camping, adding more things to see and enjoy.
We declare the year of 2025 as the first Visit Yeoju year, with the completion of the suspension bridge. We are planning to make Yeoju a brand new city by attracting more than 6 million tourists.
Based on the opening of the Yeoju Ceramic Festival, the suspension bridge will officially open on the first day of next month after final safety inspections are carried out by the end of April. 차윤경, Arirang News.
Now, let's take a look at some stories from around the world with our Choi Ji-hee. Good morning, Ji-hee.
Good morning, Tommy.
Ji-hee, we have to start in Europe, where a huge power outage swept across Spain and Portugal.
Sure. On Monday, a massive power cut hit parts of Spain and Portugal, causing widespread disruption and chaos. A blackout disrupted essential services, halted transportation, and prompted Spain to declare a national emergency. At approximately 12:33 p.m. local time, a widespread power failure struck mainland Spain and Portugal, as well as parts of southwestern France and Andorra. The outage left millions without electricity, causing traffic lights to fail, halting transportation services, and leaving many without access to mobile and internet networks. In Spain, there was a complete shutdown of the national electricity grid, leading to the suspension of all train services. Madrid's international airport also experienced a power loss, causing flight delays and cancellations. It was a similar situation in Portugal. While the cause of the blackout remains under investigation, Portugal's grid operator suggested extreme temperature fluctuations may have led to rare failures in the grid. The Vatican has officially announced that the conclave to elect the next pope will start on May 7th. It will follow the 9-day mourning period for Pope Francis, who died on April 21st. The upcoming conclave will be the largest in history, with 135 eligible cardinal electors under the age of 80 participating. Preparations are underway, including the closure of the Sistine Chapel to the public and the installation of the traditional smoke chimney, which will signal the outcome of each voting round. Black smoke will indicate no decision, and white smoke will announce the election of a new pope. The conclave is expected to last several days, with a 2/3 majority required to elect the new pope. Potential successors include Cardinals Pietro Parolin of Italy, Luis Antonio Tagle of the Philippines, Peter Turkson of Ghana, and Peter Erdo of Hungary. The International Court of Justice in The Hague began hearings on Monday to assess Israel's legal responsibilities concerning the humanitarian crisis in Gaza following the blockade of aid and the cutting of ties with the UN Relief Agency for Palestinians. A United Nations General Assembly request initiated the proceedings to determine whether Israel is violating international law by restricting aid to the Palestinian territories. The ICJ's week-long series of public hearings will focus on Israel's obligations to facilitate humanitarian assistance in Gaza and the West Bank. Over 40 countries and international organizations are expected to present arguments during the hearings. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced its 2025 inductees on Sunday, honoring a diverse group of artists who have influenced the music industry. Among the honorees are Chubby, a Philadelphia-born singer renowned for popularizing the twist, and Cyndi Lauper, celebrated for her hits like Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Inductees are selected by fans and industry experts. Eligible artists must have released their first recording at least 25 years ago. The induction ceremony is scheduled for November 8th in Los Angeles.
We'll continue to have a nice stretch of springtime under sunny skies. However, the air is incredibly dry in the eastern parts of Korea, so the risk of wildfire remains a significant concern. And with this persistent dry weather, we've unfortunately seen wildfires breaking out in several areas. So the National Forest Fire Crisis Alert level remains at the second highest. And on top of that, we'll also see strong winds, especially especially along the west coast and in the mountains of Gangwon-do province. Meanwhile, we'll have a very large daily temperature range of 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. Some of the inland areas even saw some frost this morning. Then a pleasant warm-up expected this afternoon with Seoul reaching 20 degrees. Gwangju will be topping out at 23 degrees Celsius. Air quality will be normal to good in most parts. The good news is that we do have rain in the forecast for Thursday nationwide, which should help to ease those dry conditions. But until then, please remain extra cautious when it comes to fire prevention.
That wraps up our morning edition of Arirang News. We will be back later at 5 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.
How to survive in Korea. Barbecue restaurants. Step 1. Taking care of your clothes. Put your jacket in the plastic bag. Seal it tight. If the stool flips open, store your clothes inside. Wearing light colors? Grab an apron. It's the best defense against oil splatter and smoke. Step 2. Bottomless side dishes. Basic side dishes at a barbecue restaurant. Eat, and eat as much as you want. Side dishes come with free refills. Oh, and if you don't see this sign, just ask, 사장님, 여기 밑반찬 좀 더 주세요. Simple, isn't it? Step 3. Grilling meat. There are various kinds of samgyeopsal in Korea. Place the meat on the grill. Turn it over when golden. And again when it looks done. Again and again and again. Step 4. Sam style. You aren't taking bites of sam like a taco, are you? In Korea, we have it in one bite. A pro tip here. Add only as much as you can handle in a bite. Gotta avoid awkward situations. Step 5. Enjoy the perks. After the meal, enjoy the perks offered as a Korean restaurant. Fabric refreshers get rid of the barbecue smell, while mint candies freshen your breath. Did you survive the barbecue restaurant? Hang on. Are you here with someone you want to impress? Then let's skip the garlic. Who knows what will happen?
Welcome to the Globalists. Welcome to the Globalists. Welcome to the Globalists. We're in a new set, a brand new set.
I am a globalist. And I'm the globalist.
And I'm the globalist who wants to bring Jang right into your kitchen.
new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation. Bring news just for you. It's Tuesday, April 29th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and you're tuning into News Generation. Joining us today is Im Sang-hyuk.
Happy Monday, you guys.
It's not Monday, it's Tuesday actually.
Oh, sorry, it's Tuesday.
Happy
yes, my bad.
And Niall Song.
I guess that's good news. Good morning, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. That both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. So we're going to begin this morning with our keyword news. Our keyword for this Tuesday is SK Telecom. Now, South Korea's largest mobile carrier is facing major backlash after a recent personal information leak. Earlier this month, SK Telecom announced that it had been the target of a hacking attack compromising the personal data of some of its customers. Now, although the company has yet to reveal the full extent of the breach or identify who was behind the cyber attack, it has issued a public apology and offered free eSIM chip replacements to affected customers at around its carrier stores nationwide. Now, yesterday marked the first day of the free replacement program, and the local media captured long lines forming outside many of these stores. So, Niall, could you please tell us more in detail why these customers are so concerned and just how serious the situation has become?
Yeah, this is causing unauthorized phone activations and serious financial theft, including a case where 50 million Korean won was stolen. And customers are obviously panicking because of leaked SIM data, and it can allow criminals to bypass SMS security, clone phones, and steal digital assets. And while Korea does use OTPs and other digital certificates, it does offer a little bit of protection, but experts still urge people to change their SIMs to activate SIM protection services and prevent further damage.
And to prevent further damage, in response to the public outcry, SK Telecom has vowed to take full responsibility for the incident. So, Sang-hyuk, tell us more about what measures the company is planning on for its customers.
Sure. So I'm also one of the victims who used the SK Telecom eSIM chip. So I've been closely monitoring how the company has been responding. So firstly, SK Telecom is offering free eSIM replacements for approximately 23 million subscribers at over 2,600 retail stores nationwide. However, some customers are facing difficulties due to shortages in eSIM stock. Also, the long line in front of retail stores discourages customers from actually waiting for the long line to get their eSIM replaced. So if you're a person who's afraid to wait for hours just like me, you can get eSIM protection service to prevent eSIM cloning and malicious access. So this service blocks unauthorized device changes, roaming use, and abnormal authentication attempts. And approximately 5 million users have now applied for this protection.
Right. So if you are a SK Telecom user and you want to find out more information, you could either visit its official website and hope this problem is resolved very soon. And that was our keyword news for this Tuesday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. Tuesday is when we zoom into some of the most buzzing issues on Korea's cultural front. Take a look at the screen to find out more.
A star-studded parade of artists is set to perform in Korea this year, sending concert-goers into a frenzy. But with ticket demand far outweighing supply, a growing headache is resurfacing: ticket scalping.
So from K-pop icons like G-Dragon and Blackpink to international stars like Coldplay and Oasis, a flood of global stars is gracing the stages in Korea this year. So I want to start off by asking our panelists, have you ever tried to score these tickets, or how far have you gone to really secure a spot at a show that you couldn't really miss?
Well, actually getting hold of these tickets is as difficult as getting eSIM chip replaced.
So what an analogy.
It is really challenging. So I try to purchase tickets whenever famous pop stars visit Korea, but always fail to get the tickets. So I missed the Post Malone concert, Lady Gaga concert, and this year's Coldplay concert as well. But there was one time when I managed to get Nauna concert for my parents. And by the way, Nauna is a legendary singer in Korea. He's not that famous among the MZers, but he's like a legend for our parents' generation. So at the time, time, me and my brother mobilized 4 devices to get 2 tickets from mom and dad. We even set the timer so that we can access the purchase page immediately once the clock hits the time. And in fact, there are MZers like me who try to get tickets for their parents. It's called Hyodo ticketing or ticketing for parents as a gift. So scoring the tickets of all-day singers is as challenging as buying a ticket to K-pop idol concerts.
It is indeed. And Niall, I think you actually have experience regarding ticketing, and you brought something to the studio, right?
I did. This is my token to show you guys that I succeeded in not just purchasing the tickets, but to get the merch to attend.
Which is also hard to buy, right?
You know what? People are scalping merches as well. Yeah, so sometimes it's marked up, 10, 20 times more than the original price. And so I've actually done everything that's Hang-hyuk mentioned, like having the devices ready, the timers, and everything on standby. And I did not realize how intense it was going to be. And yeah, I succeeded in getting the G-Dragon concert. But there were 30,000 people behind me.
30,000.
And this is just the first day because I am actually a part of the paid membership. And that means you get your separate day to purchase the tickets. But even that, the competition was fierce. I couldn't even get the floor seats. And then I also tried again on the regular day where if you're not part of the membership, you can just, I guess, try to get the tickets. And there were 150,000 people behind me. Yes, and I couldn't even see the tickets. And like many other people who try for cancellation tickets, they stay up all night trying to refresh the pages to see if there's any, better seats. And in the end, I couldn't find any, so I just had to go with the first seat that I found, which I'm so thankful for.
Yeah, you were indeed the lucky one.
I was.
Wow, so what a competition.
Oh, for sure.
So when demand explodes, so do problems. So naturally, we're seeing scalping, that is, reselling tickets at inflated prices, become a much bigger ongoing issue here in Korea. So Sang-hyuk, how serious would you say the issue of scalping has gotten lately here in Korea?
Well, I think the problem arises because there are just so many people who want to go to concerts or theater to show the performance, to see this performance and similar events, but there are just limited available seats. So competition is especially fierce because many fans hope to attend every performance, and as a result, those who fail to secure tickets are willing to pay a premium, even resorting to purchasing scalp tickets. And recently, VIP tickets for G-Dragon's concert, which was originally priced at 220,000 Korean won, which is around $150, were resold for 3 million Korean won, or $2,000. You can see the big spike there. And in the same week, tickets for pianist Lee Myung-chan's charity concert appeared on the resale market at more than 20 times their original price. So this trend isn't limited to concerts. It also applies to fan meetings and sporting events. So here on the screen, you can see that in 2023, there were 2,161 reports of scalping. And considering unreported cases, the actual number of transactions is likely to be much higher.
Right, and I think that the scalping is definitely on the rise because I remember back in 2020 or a few years ago, the number of reported scalping cases were in the hundreds range, but now, as you mentioned, it's now in the thousands. And talking about G-Dragon's concert, Niall, I heard that there were some measures being implemented to prevent scalping, right?
I mean, there was a huge controversy because the ticketing for G-Dragon's concert here in Korea was done through Coupang Play, which was never done before. So a lot of people were upset. They didn't know how to navigate the platform. And this was actually done to ensure that people would use their personal accounts with their name in it. And this name would match with the tickets. And so it would be easier and you couldn't have multiple devices open all at the same time to get the tickets. And so did this prevent a lot of scalping? Unfortunately, not too much. I can't say I can compare from before and after the usage of the system, but they did check the IDs. They would check the people's names on the platform as well as the tickets and the IDs in person. So there was definitely an effort, but I still did see a lot of secondhand platforms like Tangan selling tickets all the way up to 2 million Korean won. So yeah, I guess not as expensive as Hangyuk mentioned, but it was still pretty pricey, and I guess some people still buy them.
Maybe they are. So I want to now ask you, how do you personally feel about scalping? Because you can either sympathize with these desperate fans, or do you think that it's actually feeding the problem even more?
Well, I'm definitely against scalping because it's clearly illegal. However, that doesn't mean that I am unable to understand the desperation that drives people to do so. So when someone has waited months or even years to see their favorite artist or athlete perform live, actually missing out on a ticket can feel devastating. And the emotional investment, the anticipation, and the once-in-a-lifetime nature of some events can push fans to take risks they otherwise wouldn't have.
Because especially for international artists, you don't really know when they'll perform in Korea once again.
Yeah, so I just hope that Avril Lavigne once again visits Korea.
Fingers crossed. Now, what are your thoughts on this issue, Niall?
While I do sympathize with the desperation as well, true fans stay up all night trying to get cancellation tickets through the proper platform, and paying scalpers 10 times more or however much the original price, it only encourages it, and it's truly a disgrace to the artist and the other fans, and frankly to yourself and your own integrity. And if you're a true fan, please do not buy from these people who are trying to take advantage of the genuine love for the artists that people have.
Right, and I think that the reason why we are seeing scalping continue is because there is continuing demand for scalp tickets, which is why we are seeing more scalpers. So for more opinions, we also asked our viewers through a poll on our Arirang News YouTube channel with the question, would you ever consider buying a ticket at a marked up price? So if we look at the poll results, 70% answered no, while 30% said yes. We're also going to share 3 comments. Our first comment for today is by Cappuccino126. I don't want to support scalpers. I'd rather wait for another chance or find official tickets. Benny D97 says, I like to pay more because it's okay to buy a chance to go to my favorite concert or musical. Crispy Tomato says, no, it just doesn't feel right to me. My favorite artist won't be happy about it either. So we can see that a majority of our viewers are against marked up tickets, which is, in other words, for scalping. So after the break, we'll hear from a young concert goer on her take on this ticket scalping culture. Stay tuned.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
For our live interview today, we're pleased to welcome Nguyen Yok Phuong Nguyen, a Gen Z from Vietnam living in Seoul. Welcome to the show, Nguyen.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So we'd first like to ask you, we heard that you are a passionate concert goer. So how far would you say have you gone to buy a ticket for a must-see concert of your favorite artist?
So actually, I have a quiet story about that. So the concert I went to was a 17 concert, and that concert sold ticket online. So on the first day of the sales, I asked my friend, both in Korea and in my home country, to help me buy tickets. And actually, we all tried really hard, but unfortunately at that time, I couldn't get one ticket. So after that, I decided not to give up. I kept my laptop on 24/7 for an entire week, constantly just queuing and refreshing the ticketing site to look for canceled tickets. And trust me, it was honestly a very stressful week. So, but in the end, I managed to grab a ticket. Yeah, and you know what? Just one day before the concert, and it was such a relief. And I think finally my laptop was able to rest, and it's made the whole my experience feel even more special and meaningful to me.
Okay, Vian, as someone who's always obsessed to get a ticket, I thought I was like the master of scoring tickets, but wow, you're way better than me. Putting up the laptop 24/7, maybe next time I should do that as well.
Maybe you should.
Yeah, so my next question is scalping a major concern among the fan communities you're part of? And where do you personally stand on the issue?
Well, for me, I think scalping happens a lot in every fan community I have been part of. Especially for tickets for a big show, usually sold out in just a few minutes, and right after that, you start seeing them being resold at a crazy price, like 3, 5, or even 10 times higher. And I think it's really unfair, especially for some fans, either student or younger fans who don't have a stable income yet. And for me, I personally think it's take away the whole spirit of concert. And I really believe concert should be for people who truly love the artist, not for making a profit. And even though the organizers have tried to prevent scalping, like they limiting the number of tickets you can buy or using verification system, but I think it's still not completely solved yet. Yeah, and so a lot of real fans still miss out, and that's honestly really disappointing.
Lastly, in your view, what kind of impact does scalping have on both the artists as well as the fans?
Well, in my opinion, I think scalping has a really big impact on both sides. So for fans, they may have to pay a very high price and still face the risk of not being able to attend the event at all, which can greatly diminish their overall experience and their excitement for the artist. And as for the artist, having empty seats at a concert due to scalping can affect not only the energies and atmosphere of the show, but also their public image as well. So a venue filled with real fans definitely brings a much better and greater energy to the performance. And that's why I believe that it's so important to find ways to deal with scalping in order to maintain and strengthen the connection between the artists and their fans.
Absolutely. All right, man. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye. So we're now going to look at the legal side of this issue of scalping. So, Sang-Yeol, starting with Korea, is scalping illegal here, and how are authorities really trying to tackle this problem?
Well, first of all, transferring tickets vary depending on the organizer's policies. So in the case of K-pop idol concerts, agencies typically prohibit the ticket transfers altogether. In South Korea, the Public Performance Act was amended in March of last year to ban the use of macros for scalping tickets, and violations are punishable by up to 1 year of imprisonment or with a fine of up to $7,000. However, the effectiveness of the law has been questioned as penalties cannot be imposed unless the use of macros is proven. So as a result, further amendments to strengthen the regulations are currently being pursued.
Right, so to provide a bit more detail, the Culture Ministry is actually pursuing another amendment to really prohibit the overpricing of ticket resales, regardless of whether or not these macro programs are used. So this is the measures that Korea is taking. Then what about in other countries now?
So yes, in Japan, reselling these tickets at a price higher than the original is classified as illegal and it's scalping. And I think they have a system where you don't actually have to compete, but you rather just sign up and you either get it or you don't. It's a system that's kind of fair to everyone, and I think that's it's a fair system for everyone. And in Taiwan, any sale above the face value or the original price is considered scalping and is also punishable, regardless of whether the resale is completed or not. And I think that's kind of an important factor. The attempt of scalping is also punishable. In the United States, obviously, it's different depending on the state, but the use of computer programs like macro to purchase and resell tickets is strictly prohibited. And other countries like Korea, you know, many apply even stricter penalties than the recently revised laws here in Korea. But I think the issue is the practical and controllable part of it. Like, you know, Sang-Yeok mentioned, not a lot of proof can be found with the use of macro, so I think that's the issue.
Definitely. So expanding on what Sang-hyuk and Niall said, despite crackdowns and stricter rules, ticket scalping still seems hard to really root out. We're seeing them plague not only concerts, but sporting events, musicals, and so much more. So ending off our discussion today, if you could suggest a real-world solution, what measures do you think will work or help in at least minimizing these scalping cases?
Well, one way to do that is to adopt a real name system, which means it requires buyers to register tickets under their legal names and show matching ID upon entry. This system is already used for many K-pop concerts and can make unauthorized resale much harder. And we can also restrict the number of tickets a person can buy, for example, setting the cap to maximum 2 to 4 tickets per person to prevent bulk buying by scalpers. And also the entertainment companies should consider providing the premium VIP tickets only to the fan club members. They should prioritize early ticket access to verified fan club members or loyal customers. And this can reduce the chances for scalpers to get the tickets they want.
I see. Then Niall, I want to ask your take on how to battle this widespread scalping culture.
I do want to agree with Sang-hyuk on the VIP seats being reserved for true fans. And this also goes with our interview today as well. True fans being at the front seat, it will be good for the fans and the artists. And I guess adding on to everything else, for one thing, the scalping websites and platforms really need to be banned constantly because they always come up with new ways and new websites to sell their tickets, and it has to be monitored. And in the end, it's about manpower. Even at the concert, when people are handing off their bracelets and tickets, I think there just needs to be more people to watch out for that. And during the ticket purchase, when the ticket is delivered, and upon entry as well, we need to monitor it, kind of like immigration at the airport.
Well, another good analogy. And if you have any good ideas on ways to tackle scalping, please leave a comment below on today's episode. And that's all we have for today, but Newsden will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Special thanks to Im Sang-hyuk.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and Niall Song.
No problem.
Thank you, and to our viewers, thank you for tuning in, and we'll be waiting for you here, same time, tomorrow morning. We are
News
Generation.
How to survive in Korea. Cafes. Step 1. Find a seat. Before ordering, find a seat. Laptop ID, smartphone, jacket, whatever that can mark your territory. But no bites. It's a little too big. Step 2. Pick up. We do not ask or call your name. We call out, B69번 고객님. The buzzer will vibrate when your order is ready at the counter. Wait, got your straw? Keep the top of the wrapper on. Doing this is more hygienic. Step 3. Cafe etiquette. If you need to use your laptop, find a seat next to a socket. No extra charge for using electricity. But if you're staying over 3 hours, how about ordering another drink or dessert? Step 4. Last bite standing. There's a mysterious custom in Korea. The last bite standing. When there's about 1 bite left of that cake, nobody will go for it. You might be tempted, but don't be hasty. Right before you get up, take the last piece, saying that you simply can't waste food, or just leave it. It will save a few calories. Did you survive at the cafe? Did someone behind the counter catch your eye? Go for the same drink every single day.
오늘도 아이스 말차 라떼 드실 거죠?
You might make an impression.
이해할 수 있는 건 그게 완벽하진 않아도 가끔은 투정부려도 꿈꿔온 순간들과는 조금은 다르더라도 오랜 나를 지켜줬던 그대만을 설레지 않을 것이고 여름이 와도 나는 흔들리지 않을 거야 가을이 오면